Hello, and welcome back to this special segment of TCS Student News. I'm your host, Olivia Yates, here with
Daj'a. Today we'll be focusing on the Rohingya. This may contain images and videos that some people may find disturbing. The Rohingya are an ethnic group, majority of whom are Muslims who lived for centuries in Buddhist Myanmar. Currently, there are about 1.1 million Rohingyas in the Southeast Asian country. Rohingya are not considered one of the country's 135 official ethnic groups and have been denied citizenships in Myanmar since 1982. Nearly all of the Rohingya in Myanmar live in the western coastal state of Rakhine and are not allowed to leave without government's permission. It is one of the poorest states in the country with ghetto-like camps and a lack of basic service and opportunities. Due to ongoing violence, hundreds of thousands of Rohingya have fled to neighboring countries either by land or boat over the course of many decades.
Myanmar's government claims that the Rohingya are from Bangladesh, a South Asian country east of India on the Bay of Bengal. Myanmar's government calls the Rohingya Bengalis and foreigners, although Muslims have lived in the area now known as Myanmar since as early as the 12th century, and according to many historians and Rohingya groups. During British rule, there was a significant amount of migration of laborers to what is now known as Myanmar from today's India and Bangladesh. Because the British administered Myanmar as a province of India, such migration was considered internal. After independence, the government viewed the migration that took place during British rule as illegal, and it is on this basis that they refused citizenship to the majority of Rohingya. Shortly after Myanmar's independence from the British, in 1948, the Union Citizenship Act was passed, defining which ethnicities could gain citizenship, and the Rohingya were not included. Although the act did allow those whose families had lived in Myanmar for at least 2 generations to apply for identity cards, Rohingya were initially given such identification or even citizenship under the generational provision. After the 1962 military coup in Myanmar, things changed dramatically for the Rohingya. All citizens were required to obtain national registration cards. The Rohingya, however, were only given foreign identity cards. In 1982, a new citizenship law was passed, effectively rendering the Rohingya stateless. The most basic level of proof to show that they've been there is being able to show that the person's family lived in Myanmar before 1948, as well as fluency in one of the national languages. Many Rohingya lack such paperwork because it was either unavailable or denied to them. As a result of the law, their rights to study, work, travel, marry, practice their religion, and access health services have been restricted.
Since the 1970s, a number of crackdowns on the Rohingya in Rakhine State have forced hundreds of thousands to flee to neighboring Bangladesh, as well as Malaysia, Thailand, and other Southeast Asian countries. During such crackdowns, refugees have often reported rape, torture, arson, and murder by Myanmar security forces. After the killing of 9 border police in October of 2016, the government blamed what it claimed were fightings from armed Rohingya groups, and troops started pouring into the villages of Rakhine State. A security crackdown on villages where Rohingya live, which government troops were accused of an arrangement of human rights abuse, included killing and raping the Rohingya. Myanmar's government destroyed at least 55 villages once populated by Rohingya. As I have mentioned, the Rohingya have reported arsons committed by the Myanmar security forces. Arson is the criminal act of setting fire to property. Many of the Rohingya homes have been burned.
State Chancellor Aung San Suu Kyi, who is the de facto leader of Myanmar, has refused to really discuss the genocide of the Rohingya. Aung San Suu Kyi and her government do not recognize the Rohingya as an ethnic group. The government has also repeatedly rejected accusations of abuses. There are more than 500,000 Rohingya refugees living in mostly makeshift camps in Bangladesh. The majority remain unregistered. Bangladesh considers most of those who have crossed its borders and are living outside of camps as having illegally infiltrated the country. Bangladesh has often tried to prevent Rohingya refugees from crossing its borders.
A lot of people did not know about the Rohingya genocides, and Myanmar's government is rejecting an accusation of this. We encourage you to spread information on the Rohingya and how they are being persecuted. TCS students became aware of the Rohingya genocide through our current events class. We also have watched a documentary about Al Jazeera News network called The Rohingya Silent Abuse. It is very important to bring the Rohingya genocide to light, and steps should be taken to help the Rohingya. Olivia, what are some of the things we can do to help?
You can donate to organizations such as Action Against Hunger, UNICEF, and Care International, which are doing work to help the Rohingya. We have provided 2 links in the description that will give you lists of the charities you can donate to and what they are doing to help the Rohingya.
Let's get into some TCS news. First, we would like to recognize everyone who provided lunch this week. Ms. Lisa Selma sponsor who brought in chicken stir-fry. Ms. Peg brought in beef stew, and Ms. Gales, Garrett's mother and sponsor, who brought in hot dogs, beans, and potato salad. We know how much time and effort goes into making TCS student lunch, so we would like to thank everyone for putting in the time and effort for making us lunch.
We would like to recognize someone very special to everyone at TCS, Miss Leah. Miss Leah helps with everything from taking tuition to helping with finance. The school couldn't run so smoothly without Miss Leah. Whenever she comes in to help, she brightens the day. We truly appreciate everything you do for us. Thank you, Miss Leah.
Thank you. Well, that's a wrap. Well, that wraps us up for this week's edition of TCS News. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm your host, Daj'a White.
And I'm Olivia Yates.
We'll see you next week.